My name is Janice J. Rodriguez, and I am 28 years old. When I went to my boyfriend's office event, I was shocked to see a woman sitting with him, holding his hand under the table. While my boyfriend was clearly enjoying it, I left immediately. 2 days passed, and I didn't contact him. Then he sent his friends to come talk to me. I'm a software developer, and I thought I had a pretty solid relationship with my boyfriend, Victor. We had been together for 2 years, living in separate apartments but spending most weekends together. He worked in marketing at a mid-sized tech startup downtown, and I had always supported his career ambitions, even when it meant late nights, weekend campaigns, and canceled plans I pretended not to take personally. The cracks started showing about 3 months ago. Victor became increasingly distant, always on his phone, laughing at messages he wouldn't share. When I asked about his day, he gave me vague, rehearsed answers about client meetings and team synergy. I chalked it up to work stress. He had mentioned a big product launch coming up, so I figured he was overwhelmed. Our routine had always been simple. Friday nights were ours, dinner, movie, sometimes just talking until 2 a.m. about everything and nothing. But those Fridays started changing. He would cancel last minute, citing urgent deadlines. Or he would show up distracted, checking his phone every few minutes with this secretive smile that made my chest tighten. "Who's that?" I asked once, trying to keep my tone light. "Just work stuff," he said, locking his screen. Nothing interesting, but his face said otherwise. His face said it was very interesting. I tried talking to him about it once, about 6 weeks before the office event. We were at his place, and he was on his laptop supposedly reviewing campaign materials, but I caught him smiling at his phone again. That same private smile. "Victor, are we okay?" I asked. He looked up, surprised. "Of course, what? You've just seemed distant lately, like your mind is always somewhere else." "I'm just stressed about this launch," he said, closing his laptop. "It's a huge opportunity for me. Danielle and I have been putting in insane hours." That was the first time I heard her name, Danielle. He said it casually, like it was nothing, but something in my gut twisted. "Danielle, my project partner. I've mentioned her before." He had not. I would have remembered. "What's she like?" I asked. "Testing. She's great," he said. "Really creative, super driven. We make a good team." The way he said good team stuck with me. There was warmth in his voice, the kind that used to belong to us. Then came the office event. It was supposed to be a celebration for hitting their Q4 targets, held at an upscale restaurant with a private room. Victor had been hesitant about me coming at first. "It's mostly going to be boring work talk," he said a week before, not meeting my eyes. "I don't mind," I said. "I'd like to meet your colleagues properly, especially Danielle." His expression flickered for 1 second with something like panic. "Sure," he said. "That would be nice." The night of the event, I actually put effort into my appearance. A black dress, the perfume he liked, my hair styled instead of pulled into its usual work bun. I wanted to remind him what he had while we were still together. Looking back, that desperation should have told me everything. I arrived 15 minutes late because of traffic. The restaurant was dimly lit. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, expensive dishes served on slate instead of plates. I texted Victor that I was there, but he did not respond. I made my way to the private room in the back, rehearsing casual greetings in my head. Through the frosted glass door, I could see about 20 people mingling, drinks in hand, the warm buzz of celebration filling the space. I pushed the door open and scanned the room for Victor. It took me a moment to spot him because he was sitting in a corner booth, partially hidden by a decorative plant. He was not alone. There was a woman next to him, close enough that their shoulders touched. She was around our age, polished, pretty, with sleek dark hair and one of those expensive watches that catches the light. But what made my stomach drop was not just how close they were. Her hand was under the table, and even from where I stood, I could see her arm angled toward him. Victor's hand was hidden too, but his body language told me everything. He was leaning into her slightly, his head tilted toward hers as she whispered something that made him smile. Not a polite smile. The real one. The one I used to think was just for me. They looked like a couple. That was what hit me hardest. Not colleagues. Not friends. Two people with inside jokes, shared secrets, and the kind of comfort that does not appear overnight. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, waiting for him to notice me. He didn't. He was too absorbed in whatever she was saying. I watched as he laughed, and his free hand touched her arm in that casual, familiar way that told me this was not new. A woman near the door glanced over and smiled. "Are you looking for someone?" "No," I said. "I was just leaving." I turned around and walked out. I did not make a scene. I did not text. I just left. The drive home felt surreal, like I was moving through water. I kept replaying what I had seen, trying to convince myself I had misunderstood. Maybe she was just a colleague being overly friendly. Maybe it was nothing. But my gut knew better. That was not nothing. I did not hear from Victor that night. Part of me expected him to call before I even made it home. I imagined my phone buzzing in the cup holder, his name flashing across the screen, his voice panicked and breathless, asking where I went and why I left. But the phone stayed silent. That silence told me more than any explanation could have. I stayed awake until 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, replaying the image until it burned into me. Victor leaning toward Danielle, her hand hidden under the table. His smile. That private, soft, stupid smile I used to think meant home. The next morning, I woke up to one message from him, sent at 1:47 a.m. "Sorry, got caught up with work people. Hope you made it home okay." No mention of me showing up. No concern about why I disappeared. No, "I looked for you." No, "Did something happen?" Either he had not noticed me at all, which seemed impossible in a room of 20 people, or he was pretending he had not noticed. Both options made me feel sick. I did not respond. Day 1 without contact turned into day 2. I went to work, wrote code, sat through a stand-up meeting, fixed a bug in a dashboard module, and pretended I was not mentally stuck in that corner booth. My coworkers asked if I was okay. I said I was fine, just tired. By the evening of the second day, my doorbell rang. I was not expecting anyone. When I checked the peephole, I saw 2 women I vaguely recognized from Victor's Instagram stories. His work friends. Great. I opened the door. "Hey," the taller one said with an overly bright smile. "I'm Lauren, and this is Belle. We work with Victor." "I know," I said, not moving from the doorway. "Can we come in?" Belle asked softly. "We just want to talk for a minute." Curiosity won. I stepped aside. They settled onto my couch like they had rehearsed this. Lauren crossed her legs and looked around my apartment with barely concealed judgment. "So," Lauren began, using that careful diplomatic tone people use when they are about to manipulate you politely. "Victor is really upset. Is that what he told you? He said you left the event without saying goodbye," Belle added. "And now you won't answer him." "He called?" I pulled out my phone and checked. 2 missed calls, both from that afternoon. No voicemails. "Interesting timing," I said. Lauren's smile faltered. "Look, we don't know what's going on between you two, but he's our friend. He's torn up about this." "Torn up," I repeated. "Did he tell you why I left?" They exchanged a quick glance. Too quick. "He said he doesn't know," Belle said carefully. I laughed, sharp enough to make them both flinch. "You want to know what happened?" I showed up to his office event like I was supposed to. And I found my boyfriend sitting in a corner booth with Danielle, holding her hand under the table like I didn't exist. The room went quiet. Lauren's expression shifted from defensive to uncomfortable. Belle looked down at her hands, and that was when I knew they knew. "That's not what it looked like," Lauren started. I cut her off. "That's the line?" Belle spoke carefully. "Danielle and Victor have been working closely together on the launch. They're partners on the campaign." "Partners?" I said, letting the word hang. "It's not like that," Lauren insisted, but her voice had no conviction. "They're just close because of work." "Don't sit in my apartment and gaslight me," I said. "I know what I saw." "We're not trying to gaslight you," Belle said. In my work, when I collaborate with someone, I don't hold his hand under a table at a public event. I don't lean into him like he's the only person in the room. And I definitely don't ignore my partner when she shows up. Lauren stood, face flushing. Victor cares about you. He's been crying at work. How hard is this for him exactly? I asked. Getting caught. Lauren opened her mouth, then closed it. That's what I thought, I said quietly. Tell Victor if he wants to explain, he can come here and say it to my face. No friends, no rehearsed story, the truth. 20 minutes after they left, Victor texted. Lauren told me what you said. Can we please talk? I replied, you know where I live. He arrived 30 minutes later, eyes red, hair messy, looking smaller than I remembered. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Can I come in? He asked. I stepped aside. He stood in the middle of my living room, hands clasped like a nervous student. I don't know what you think you saw. Stop, I said. Don't insult me. It's not what you think. Then explain why Danielle was holding your hand under the table while your girlfriend stood 10 feet away watching. His face changed. You saw that? There it was. Fear. Not fear of losing me. Fear of being caught. Of course I saw it. I didn't think you'd notice, he whispered. The words hung between us like a confession. I stared at him. So you knew exactly what you were doing. You just hoped I'd be too stupid to see it. Victor covered his face with both hands. Danielle and I have gotten close. The project, the late nights, it just happened. Say it, I said. Use real words. He lowered his hands. Tears ran down his face. We've been seeing each other, he said. For 2 months. 2 months. 8 weeks of lies. 8 weeks of him touching her, smiling at her, coming back to me and pretending nothing had changed. I felt something inside me go very still. Get out, I said. Janice, please, get out before I stop being calm. He left crying. I locked the door behind him and stood in the silence, finally understanding that the relationship had not ended when I walked out of the restaurant. It had ended the first time he chose to lie and trusted me not to notice. For the next few days, I moved through life like I had been hollowed out. I blocked Victor on everything the next morning. His number, his email, every social platform where his name might appear like a bruise. He tried reaching me through mutual friends at first, sending long apologies I never read. I told everyone the same thing. I had nothing to say to him, and I was not accepting messages on his behalf. The first week was the hardest, not because I wanted him back. I didn't. But because my mind kept replaying all the moments I had ignored. The way he smiled at his phone. The canceled Fridays. The vague stories about late-night campaign work. The first time he said Danielle's name and tried to convince me I had heard it before. I kept wondering how many times I had sat across from him at dinner while he was already halfway gone. I packed his things on Saturday morning. A hoodie he always left on my couch. A phone charger, a travel mug. 2 books he had borrowed and never read. A framed photo from a weekend trip to Santa Fe, where we looked happy because I did not know yet what happiness was hiding from me. I put everything in a box and left it outside my apartment door. He picked it up while I was at the gym. No note. No final text. No apology slipped under the door. Just absence. Lauren and Belle never contacted me again, which was fine. I did not need more ambassadors from the land of bad decisions. What stayed with me, though, was the look on Belle's face when I said Danielle's name. She knew. Maybe not everything, but enough. Enough to know I was not imagining things. Enough to know she was walking into my home to help Victor soften the truth before I could hold it properly. 3 weeks later, I ran into one of Victor's old roommates, Marcus, at the grocery store. I was in the produce section trying to remember if I needed onions when he appeared beside me with a basket full of cereal and frozen pizza. Janice, he said awkwardly. Hey. He shifted his weight. How are you doing? Fine, I said, and surprisingly, it was mostly true. He nodded. Good. Listen, I heard what happened with Victor and Danielle. I'm really sorry. I stared at the apples in front of me because looking at him felt too personal. For what it's worth, he continued, lowering his voice, I never liked her. Danielle, I mean. She always seemed too smooth, like she was constantly performing for someone. They're together? I asked, even though I already knew the answer. He hesitated. Yeah, it's all over social media. Like they've been dating for years. Honestly, it's kind of gross how public they're being. I nodded slowly. That sounds about right. You deserved better, Marcus said. You were good to him. Everyone knew that. After he left, I finished my shopping and went home. Later that night, against my better judgment, I opened a browser and looked up one of Victor's posts. They were at a rooftop bar, Danielle tucked under his arm, both of them smiling at the camera with that filtered perfection that makes betrayal look glamorous. They looked happy. They looked like they belonged together. For about 10 seconds, it hurt so badly I could not breathe. Then I noticed his hand. The same hand I had seen under the table, resting on her waist like a trophy, like proof, like he had not destroyed anything, only upgraded the photograph. I closed the browser, deleted the history, and ordered pizza. And somehow, that was the moment I began to feel better. Not healed, not finished, better. Because I realized I was sleeping more deeply than I had in months. I no longer woke up wondering why he had not answered my text. I no longer watched his face for signs of boredom or guilt. I no longer had to compete with a glowing screen in my own relationship. The quiet was not loneliness, it was relief. My coworker Sarah asked me one afternoon if I would consider dating again soon. We were sitting outside during lunch, wrapped in coats, watching people hurry down the sidewalk like winter had personally offended them. Maybe in a few months, I said. No rush, she replied. You look different, though. Different bad? No, she said. Different like you're not bracing for impact anymore. That stayed with me, because she was right. I had spent the last part of my relationship waiting for the next small injury. The next canceled plan. The next locked screen. The next explanation that sounded smooth but did not feel true. I had mistaken constant anxiety for love that needed patience. It was not love. It was warning. One night, I sat alone in my apartment with rain tapping against the windows, and I thought about the office event again. The corner booth. The decorative plant. Victor's face turned toward Danielle. The fact that I had stood there for 30 seconds waiting for him to notice me, as if being noticed by my own boyfriend was something I still had to earn. That was the part I could not forgive. Not just the cheating, not even the lying. The expectation that I would stand there and accept invisibility. I wrote in my journal that night for the first time in years. One sentence. I deserve someone who chooses me in public, not someone who hides me while holding another woman's hand. Then I closed the notebook and slept through the night. I did not know it yet, but Victor was not done trying to rewrite the ending. And the next message would not come from him. 2 months later, I got a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, but something made me open it. This is Danielle. I think we should talk. I stared at the screen, feeling nothing at first. Not anger, not curiosity. Just the strange dullness that comes when a ghost knocks and you realize you are no longer haunted. A second message came through. Victor doesn't know I'm reaching out. Things aren't working out with us. He talks about you constantly. I think he made a mistake. I read it once, then again. 3 months earlier, those words might have destroyed me. The old me would have searched for hidden meaning. Imagined Victor regretting everything. Wondered if pain could be proof of love. But sitting there in my quiet apartment, with my laptop open, dinner cooling on the table, and rain sliding down the window, I only felt tired. I typed back, "That's not my problem anymore. Don't contact me again." Then I blocked the number. No speech, no questions, no satisfaction. Victor had shown me who he was in that restaurant booth. He had shown me with his hand under the table, with his silence afterward, with the friends he sent to soften the truth, and with the tears he used only after getting caught. I did not need to know whether he regretted Danielle. I did not need to know if she felt second best now. I did not need to rescue either of them from the mess they chose. A week later, Marcus told me Victor had moved apartments and stopped posting for a while. Danielle deleted most of their photos. People at his office had apparently stopped treating their love story like something romantic and started calling it what it was: an affair that did not survive daylight. I did not celebrate. I just kept living. I worked. I cooked. I slept. I went to brunch with Sarah and laughed so hard coffee nearly came out of my nose. I started running again in the mornings, not far, just enough to feel my body become mine again. I took myself to the movies on a Friday night and realized halfway through that I had not checked my phone once. That felt like freedom. I do not wish Victor misery. I do not wish Danielle anything at all. What I wish is that I had trusted myself sooner. My body knew before my heart did. Every canceled Friday, every locked screen, every vague answer, every time I felt like I was competing with someone I had not met yet, that was my intuition knocking. I kept ignoring it because I did not want to be the suspicious girlfriend. Now I know there is a difference between insecurity and evidence. I deserve someone who chooses me clearly. Someone who answers honestly. Someone who would never hold another woman's hand under a table while I stood 10 feet away, hoping I was too blind to notice. Maybe I will find that person someday. Maybe I will not. Either way, I am done being optional.